Carlos Charles is on. I know he'll tell us if anybody else is expected. We've seen Alex on for the last several months, few months with me on the program. And I am sure you'll agree with me that this is the most relaxed we've seen him. He looks relaxed and young. So I'm guessing that's because he's on the Nature Isle. We've seen that impact. But Alex, welcome to this weekend interview. As usual, it's a pleasure to have this program with you. Unmute.
So yeah, Tony, it is good to be here. I'm excited. It's a pleasure joining you from the island. Island life means so much more when you are removed from it. I mean, it humbles you in a kind of a way when you reconnect, and
Yep.
that is what I think you're seeing in me. This peace, this tranquility, the idea that I'm meeting with so many family and friends, and rolling back the years, so to speak. It's not that I've been away for years, but sometimes when you meet someone that you had not seen for quite a while, it really brings you back to home. I was in Calibishi yesterday, so that did a lot for me, meeting with my partner, Ugly. That is his name. He doesn't want any to be called by any other name but Ugly.
Okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, so what you see in me is the kind of peace that only the islands can give you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, and I see you bring a even handsomer young man with you, Mr. Carlos Charles. Mr. Charles, I'm gonna call you Mr. Charles one time, and then I'm going to call you Carlos after that. But it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome to this weekend interview.
Yes, Mr. Drygo. I don't really subscribe to persons. I'm a man, yes, Mister, yes, but I'm more for informal person. I love to be referred to by my name. So you can drop the protocol, and
Okay.
and feel free.
Thank you. Welcome, though. Welcome.
Yes, thanks for having me. This is my second or third time being here.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's nice to interact with your audience. Of course, a good evening to the fans of TDN Radio and the other platforms that you would be connected on. And thank you for having us.
It's my pleasure. And I see that we have a fair lady with us. She just joined. So right on time, right on cue, Miss Carbon George Petra. Unmute your mic and welcome. So welcome back to this weekend interview.
Oh, you
Yes,
have
good
had a
evening, good evening. Sorry, my camera decided to stay shut. I'm trying to fix it, but I'm here. I'm not new to your program. We have
Not
been
at all.
together several times,
Hmm.
and it's really nice to be back on the program again.
Yes, it's great to have you. I want to say congratulations, but I don't know if picking up a heavy load is a congratulatory event. But I'll say thank you for offering to serve and to carry some heavy load. We know that it's not always an easy road to travel. But before I jump into those details, I'm going to go to Alex and have him talk a bit about the event, the activity that Team Unity Dominica had today. What exactly was it? What's the significance of it? What exactly is it signaling? And then we'll come back to Petra and then Carlos.
So today we launched the 2027 general elections campaign as far as TUDs is concerned,
Hmm.
because elections are constitutionally due in 2027. So we are just assuming that elections will be called in 2027. Even if it is called before, we are in the active 2027 elections campaign season. So we branded our event campaign launch events 2027 general elections campaign. And by so doing, we presented candidates in 4 constituencies, and we presented some highlights of our party, our movement, what we would want to do, how we'd want to do it, the kind of a politics we'll be engaged in, a politics that speaks to collaboration and the deviation away from the old status quo politics, the vendetta politics, the tit for tat politics, the I'll do back when I get in office politics, to something that is broader, more futuristic, more involved, and calmer. I shouldn't say calmer, a bit more gentle, because the politics has become so very partisan and noisy and polarized. So, as Team Unity, that's what we actually introduce as sort of a new trend, a new brand, a new idea, a different way of political engagement. And for good measures, we presented some candidates. We will continue on rolling out candidates, depend on the kind of talks that we have with the other players in the business. So we do not want to pack every area of candidates. We just want to enter the fray, be part of the political business in a common sense and collaborative way. So far we have 4, and we hope to keep those 4 in place. We will do a few more after consultation and conversations with other players. So that was today in a nutshell.
Okay, so today was the launch of Team Unity Dominica 2027 general election campaign.
Yes.
You early. I like that, right?
Well, of
Team
course.
Unity Dominica is early and prepared. So,
We have,
so Carlos, for the new listeners, for folks who are hearing about Team Unity Dominica for the first time today, or whatever it is, let's briefly just talk about the whole philosophy and idea behind Team Unity Dominica. Uh,
The idea behind the formation of Team Unity was to sort of give Dominicans an option, an alternative, contrasting what is available as of previous times. Um, I'm a young person. I have peers. I have business associates, and we talk. A lot of us are not happy with the way that the country is being run. We have family overseas, direct family and extended family who would love to come back home, but unfortunately things are not such that they would be comfortable be able to come back home and be able to contribute and live, maybe not necessarily to the standard that they live in other countries, but at a reasonable rate. Because Tony, like it or not, we suck in our nene in Dominica, and we would like to see things happen differently. The banks are leaving. These are signs. And times before we used to have over 5 banks in Dominica. Where did they go? A lot of the things that we would love to see happen are no longer happening. Crime going up. I mean, right now things have sort of calmed down for a bit, but opportunities are not there. You see a lot of businessmen who will complain silently, but they're not complaining loudly, and it seems like a political stalemate, so to speak. Once, if you're not on one side, you have you for the other. And like Alex was mentioning earlier in his statements, the sort of vendetta politics. So, okay, so I'm in opposition for X amount of time. When I get inside, I'll fix all your, not in those words, but you get a sense of that when you interact with certain people, and all of that is not helpful for a growing economy. All that not helpful for future. Even with the current administration, it may not be openly said, but the victimization is there. If you have to go to a certain person for you to get a job, you have to know somebody somewhere. Even even one of the Boyo artists will mention it in a song, but it'll come out as a joke, but it's real. You have to know people that know people for you to get something.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why, and this is one of the reasons why I reached out to Alex, and I saw that he was on a move, and I told him, bro, this is something that you need to take seriously, because like it or not, we are looking, we the young people are looking, and we want something different. Mark you, a lot of us are afraid to step forward. So I decided, hey, Carlos, I put my hand up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to stand up for Dominica, and this is why I'm here.
All right. So if I have to unpack that a little bit, you spoke about uh, people looking to leave, or people are leaving in droves.
Oh yes, yes.
Sort of like the brain drain, and I totally understand why that happens, because I like to say that I will know when Dominica has a successful government when our migration slows down to a reasonable rate, where maybe our population is growing rather than diminishing. So more people are choosing to stay than people choosing to leave. And so I like that part of it. It Alex, if you are there, I know it looks like we're having trouble with Petra. Alex, what are some of the economic priorities that TUD would like people to know? Because launching a campaign means that you're going to want to convince people to look at you seriously and to vote for you. And from what Carlos says, the economy of the country, the economic opportunities in the country are pretty dire. So, what are some of the economic priorities? And if Alex is not there, Carlos, you can take that question. What are some of the economic priorities of Team Unity Dominica? Alex, are you there?
I
Well,
am here.
you're there.
I'm
Okay.
here. I'm just trying to make sure I have enough juice to last me the hour. So
Hmm.
yeah. So the question is about the economic.
What are the economic priorities? Or what would Team Unity be doing to try to revive the economy of the country?
That's interesting
Proposing.
that you.
Mhm.
That's interesting that you asked the question for. So the question came earlier today at the press conference, and it was very easy. We Our focus in terms of restarting the Dominican economy is planted in agriculture. The only thing and the best thing that grows in Dominica is produce, because we are a very fertile country with soil that is best, second to none in the world. So we will invest. So first of all, we will twin culture, agriculture, and tourism, and agriculture meaning agro processing and everything else that goes with it.
Hmm.
We would invest heavily. The biggest sector of investment would be in the agricultural sector. In fact, one of the things we propose to do is to reconfigure this money program, the citizenship by investment program, to invest. And that would help alleviate some of the concerns that the European Union and other countries have about our program. Our program is not streamlined, and it seems to be a target, a magnet for characters who are just willing to have a citizenship. We have the cure, where we will focus attention on the program, what's remaining of it, to finance the agricultural sector in a massive way. So that would be one of the pillars of Dominica's economy. And on top of that, we put tourism, we put culture, including music slash bouillon, creating an edifice from those, patenting the bouillon and giving it international leverage while having short-term crops kickstart agriculture. We have medium range crops like bananas, augment it, and long term crops like getting back into limes and all the other agro processed stuff to take us into the long term. We believe that is the way to go. And of course, fishing goes with that as well. Essential oils and services go along with that as well. Just broaden that agricultural base so that more of the money remains in the agricultural productive sector. Package the product, market the product, expand on marketing. And also, when we talk about agriculture, we're talking about water, the exploitation of water. We have already market right in Europe, right across the border, left to right of us. And of course, the Lesser Antilles, Antigua, St. Martin, and Anguilla. One of our ideas would be to run a pipeline between Antigua and Marigot to supply St. John's with water, to wash them, bathe them with water. And they, of course, metered water, but it's easy to run a pipeline, insulated pipeline under the ocean that can be opened in Antigua, and Antigua has gallons and gallons of water coming out of Dominica from a reservoir or from a catchment. Other than that, all the water that goes to the sea is trapped. And we would do that, certainly. And if Antigua wants to be the main catchment area for the other countries, like Anguilla, St. Martin, Nevis, and Kitts, fine. But we certainly would want to talk to our friends in Antigua and Barbuda and supply all the water that is sweetening the sea right now to them. And that goes under the same broader vision of what we have in abundance. Is water we have. Let's just use water. It could be 2 cents we make on a gallon. When you add up 10 million gallons a year, you know what 2 cents this is? Just on that, you will pay back on the investment of the pipe and make your money over and over and over again. Of course, Antigua has desalination plants and stuff like that. But the sister island would be wanting to work with us on that. And to talk about the export of the agriculture, how that is going to augment the importation of chicken and other meats. Of course, you can still import that at a particular value, particular tariff, especially if it's not coming from the Caribbean. But yeah, we will produce wholesome foods, not just chicken and beef, but poultry, chicken, eggs, and everything else that goes with that, mutton, lamb, so that this can be consumed, and it will be all pretty much animals that are fed on natural stuff and amenities. And that's where we will go. So agriculture not just as bananas, but everything else agriculture. With
Right.
short term, medium term, and long term. And within 9 months, we reckon if we use the land and we follow the plan that we have, we would be making upwards of double figures in the millions of dollars just on short term crops in agriculture within 9 months, 6 to 9 months.
Right. So you mentioned agriculture, culture, tourism. Um, I know you lumped water with agriculture, but I think water can be. We have so much water in Dominica that water would be an industry, an economic activity in its own right.
Standalone,
Yeah.
yes.
Um, Carlos, apart from the economy, what are some of the critical needs that Team Unity Dominica sees right now that would be a priority for a government that Team Unity would be involved in? Unmute, remember.
Did Alex mention the tourism sector?
Yeah,
That
he
is one.
said tourism, but I want you to go away from economics and what are some of the other sectors like health or education or whatever else you see that's
Yeah,
critical
yes,
to you.
of course, of course. And when you talk about, he mentioned the entertainment sector, but not just the buoy. Dominica is quite uniquely placed in the Caribbean to service islands both north and south. Like if you notice the bike festival that is going on right now in Dominica, all these things can be taken up a notch, way high level. Even the poker run. You know what kind of people come to those kind of events? Who are those persons who own boats? Most of the times, the people who own those yachts are high net worth individuals. Now you package those things and you make it so that those when those people come to Dominica, they're able to leave some of the finance in the island, let it circulate in the economy. But you asked me to stay away from
No,
the
no, no. I mean, no
because
issues.
I
You feel
mentioned
free,
a
but
lot of it.
yeah.
But I'm passionate about the motorsports events as well, which directly correlates into tourism. Um, I need not mention the health sector. I'm not sure if you listen to our dear sister presentation this morning, where she was making mention of a lot of the things that would happen differently under our leadership. She mentioned about the ambulances. We have ambulances which are not adequately staffed, which not properly have the right equipment to service our people, to keep to the life of one life lost is one life too many. I can go into something basic as waste disposal. A couple months ago, we had a ribbon cutting for new garbage trucks, and just this week, I was following a dump truck with garbage in plastic bags, with guys sitting in the box. We're still doing that in 2026, and we just had a big celebration for the arrival of some used dump trucks. All those things would be done better on the community government.
Who's Mike? Oh, go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, and of course, our security apparatus. We need to upgrade a lot of the way that things are done in Dominica. It doesn't mean that we have to put more guns in the streets with the policemen. Or the community police initiative is a very good initiative, but a lot of things can be done differently. We have a parking problem in Dominica. Probably we need to look at metering in the city. We need to look at a parking solution, which would be a way of generating revenue, either albeit in the private sector or through the public sector. Whatever way it needs to happen, let it happen. We need to get things going, the various engines of growth in the country, so that we can be truly happy to reside and make money out of it. There's so many students graduating from the college every year, and all of them are just looking for the scholarship for them to go and never come back. We need to make it happier for them to stay home. Yes, you may want to further education. Nothing's wrong with that, but we need to bring Dominica to the standard where we can all do the kind of jobs that we see on TV, and be happy with it. So we do the development that is necessary in the country, and our people support the development that we implement.
Right. So, I mean, I'll give you upstart personal experience because you talk about students and young people being given the opportunity to remain in the country, to contribute and to feel like they are achieving in the country. Um, I was a recipient of a scholarship after I finished A-level college. I came up to the US, I did engineering, and I came back to Dominica in 1990 as a young engineer, ready and willing to work. Back I said in 1990, so that was under the Freedom Party government, and you would not believe the amount of trouble that I got before I got my first job as a young person coming back with a degree. And I'm saying that to say that this is not a new problem. And so any government that wants to turn that around has to really change the culture of the country. Because as we speak right now, I'm speaking to you not in Dominica, you know.
And
Um,
I'm
I
sure
still,
you would
I,
be
I,
happy to come back home and
I still
contribute
as
in your
long,
field.
I still as long as I could stay. Although I had a green card, I was in Dominica. I worked in Dominica for 12 years with my green card before I had to go. you know, so 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 there definitely has to be a whole culture change about how we can encourage young people. And I know we only have an hour, but for example, how can we make agriculture attractive to young people so that they can see agriculture not as something they do because they have no other choice, but as something that they're excited to be part of. Alex, you can jump in. I want to spend some time there and we can talk. And as I'm introducing young people, both of you guys can jump in and talk to me about
Yeah.
what does TUD have in its mind
But
for
See,
young for
hold
youth
on,
and young people.
it
hold on,
is
Go,
hold on a second,
Carlos, want
hold
to
on a
go first,
second
Alex.
before Alex comes on that point. One thing we have to remember is a lot of our forefathers, my grandparents, probably Alex's parents, were they sent a lot of the children to school on agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these workers are no longer there. And one, you don't have the workforce as before to toil the land. A lot of these people who worked in the soil, they are no longer alive. The younger people, the emphasis was on academics, 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 and not enough emphasis on that. So for one, we have to solve the workforce issue. And I will stop there and let Alex take it from now because I'm
well,
talking from experience, me being involved in that as well. Farming has to be really a business and be looked at as that.
How's that, right?
yeah. Well, I suspect I'm going to have some technical issues in terms of my equipment that I'm
Mm-hmm.
using for the program. So if I disappear, it's because of my system that has failed me in the middle of the program, and I really regret it. But I'll try to join back if that happens. What I'm saying, Tony, is agriculture has to be taken to that ultimate level. Technology. We hear about drones, trafficking ammunition, and stuff like that. Drones should be employed in terms of being able to traffic agricultural produce in areas that had been traditionally inaccessible, even if they're accessible, but we have to input the idea of technology. Agriculture has to be seen as something that all and everyone can do. And when the young people see agriculture being enveloped in this technological age and era, it becomes hip, it becomes something that we all want to do. Efficient agriculture calls for using cutting edge technology and tools and services. And one of the things we want to do is to not just build a house, build agricultural homes, self sustaining homes on the farms with all the amenities, TV, phone, everything else powered by solar. So those houses will come to the farmer at concessionary rates in terms of the banks, with everything a farmer needs to spend a night or two with their family on the farm if they choose to. So you could have two homes as a farmer, your regular home and a farm home that any farmer could have with all the amenities on a soft loan basis that is self-contained. If I can do that and have a farm and I can have a second house in the country area, I'm going to be a farmer. So you give the farming, the agricultural business, a jolt, a push, a shot in the arm, so that people will think and see that it is beneficial. I'm going to go to the farm for a weekend. I have my house that is, well, food is contained. That gives me the opportunity to have a farming vacation, take my friends and loved ones, and we go cultivate a 10-acre plot that is otherwise sitting. So I'm just saying this as fan cities, but these are not fan cities. This is what going to create the incentive for people to get into the program. Okay, labor shortage, get whoever wants to come in to do farming, agriculture. It should be expressly for that. The way we were brought into and still have been brought into Canada and Florida to do. Use people, use specific and specialized labor for farming, that all those acres of unproductive lands that we have in Dominica today under a TD government, these lands will be in use. I know many, many people from other countries who would like to be here doing the farming. A lot of Haitians. In fact, when you go to the markets in Roseau now, ask Carlos who you see there. 90% are Haitians who control the market, the food production sector, which again is not an enviable thing to boast about. But if the Haitians, our brothers and sisters from Haiti, are so keen on getting into agriculture, use them in a way that can benefit them and us. Because Carlos says that labor is scarce, and indeed labor is scarce. Until and unless we can train a new group of people who want to get into farming, that is a short gap measure which needs to be fixed. And as I said, we find ourselves into different terms of crops, short term, medium term, and long term crops. Um, Incentives, technology, amenities like houses, soft loans for that, and show that there's a market ready to buy the stuff. So every week, every other day, farmers and people who are on the farm have money selling goat's milk, cow milk, whatever the case might be. There is always something to be sold in agriculture from the
Alex,
farm. Yes.
I want to jump in and ask you something because I hear people talk about shortage of labor in the island. There are many reasons why there's a shortage of labor. I also know that you go around talking to a lot of people because you conduct surveys and polls. Do you have an idea what is the unemployment rate? In other words, how many people are not working or underemployed while we claim we have a labor shortage?
Youth unemployment is about 66%.
So
Youth
66%
under,
of our youth are not employed or
yes,
underemployed.
yeah, easily,
Okay.
easily, very easily, and that might even be conservative.
So
And I'm
how do
actually
we?
working. I'm actually working right now. I'm a week
Mhm.
into my latest poll, and it's trending around there, if not higher.
So what would Team Unity do about that? Where there is a shortage of labor in certain critical sectors, but there is an idle workforce.
I don't. I'm not sure the youth is the answer to that. The youth do not really want to get into that labor sector. They want to be entrepreneurs. So we focus on entrepreneurship for youth, music, entertainment, creative industries, get them making their monies, and we have to import labor. I mean, there's no way around it. Honestly, there's no easy fix for that problem because the young people of now would not get into agriculture even if it's a something that they see that's hype and bringing. If the money is really, 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 really good instantly, they will go for it. But the young people want money now and they want almost everything now. So you might find a few of them doing it, but the majority of young people, the kind of labor force we need, I don't think the youth is the answer. It has to be imported into Dominica. There are millions of our sisters from Haiti who want to come in. Just have a specialized program as workers UWP had some time ago and get a couple thousand farm workers. And I think that takes care of our labor problem in Dominica. That's what I think has to happen right now, and give us 6 weeks, sorry, 6 months, and we're going to have millions of dollars into the sector in terms of direct impact on the economy, and residual impact much more than that, because people who are making money will spend money and that goes back into the economy makes more money. But within 6 months, Tony, we can change the trajectory of our economy for the better. I believe we can improve the economy by at least a 2-3%, between 3 and 5% in 6 months. And by the time bananas and other, long and medium term crops come in within a year and a half, we can see a shot in the arm of the economy very close to double digits in percentile, with sweet potato and all of that coming in as well, lemongrass. I mean, the sky is the limit. Things that you think are simple are not simple. They can indeed make a lot of money. Tomatoes alone, if you plant 10 acres of tomato and you take care of it and harvest this, that alone can show a difference in terms of agricultural output, economic benefits, and so on. So yes.
Yeah,
So
because
I answer,
not only we would not have to import it,
yeah,
which is expensive,
with foreign
but if
exchange.
you produce it locally, it also generates employment and the money stays in. There's a question from the audience on the
Technology,
screen.
technology.
What are plans and ideas that TUD has for technological development in Dominica?
Oh yeah, and beyond just what we know as technology, the basic bread and butter technology, we're thinking of talking to the US State Department, talking to NASA, and the SpaceX, and to have we have a lot of land, and to set up a technology shop, technology center that look at all of these things, development of electric cars, Dominica as a manufacturing hub, and training people in terms of the technical know-how, the abilities to be engineers, to be trainers of trainers. So Dominica becomes a major, major operating hub. Give all the incentives that we can, and have centers set up. So maybe one or two centers set up, create a lot of jobs, train the workforce to do specialized job in the technology industry. And certainly offer Dominica as the first country in the Caribbean to have certified launches of satellite, of rockets into space. We want to have astronauts being trained to go to space. The sky is the limit. So I'm starting on the extreme. In terms of the other areas of technologies that Carlos can speak about, Dominica is blessed to have been the first country in the Caribbean to provide IT, not IT, what was his name again? Voice over services,
Voice over IP.
voice
Voice
over
over
IP.
IP. Mhm.
So that's where we're strong. We have the remnants, we have the pick, and Carlos had been involved in that in the early stages of mapping. Carlos could speak to that more eloquently than I am, but we will invest very heavily in that and let that be a sector of the information age that drives Dominica's economy. Most importantly, train people in it, develop industries in it, from the ordinary, creating Dominica as a technology hub. So Dominica would be IT, not an IT, an internet country where everywhere across we put repeaters. So Dominicans will have access to internet, broadband internet, not free, where it will be available to them with an agreement created by government, between government and the private sector, whereby the private sector invests in the technology, invests in the service, and every Dominican can jump on the platform at any time and not having to pay for the platform. That opens up the people to be able to research, the students to be able to do their school-based assignments, to be able to spend more time there doing creative stuff, creating music, creating beats. So any and everywhere you go into the island, Dominica will be like an internet friendly country. The tourists will come in, and the people will make more money on it based on doing it that way than trying to put internet in every homes. Because at the end of the day, the spill-off effects from doing this will benefit them. The government will give tax breaks to those companies that do it sufficiently to take care of the issues. Everyone benefits. The more you do on the platform is the more that comes back, more remittances that come back. So we want to be the first fully technological country. I think some people say Dominica is the first resilient country in the Caribbean and in the world. I do not know whether the country is resilient. I think the people are
Dominica has made resilient sound like a bad word.
not Dominican, not the people. Because boy, for how I see our people living and existing, we have to be resilient as a people.
We
I'm
are
not sure
resilient.
about it.
The
I'm
word
not sure.
resilient, they've made turn it into a bad word. And
Yeah.
I want Carlos to jump in on the
Okay, Carlos, on the
technology aspect of
technology.
it. Carlos, is there anything additional to what Alex said?
Well, I did There was someone had a conversation with somebody in society earlier this year. I'm saying, if a government is smart, look at the way the world is going. Let us contact. We're doing geothermal energy, geothermal power, free power from the earth. We're not burning any oil. Steam, spinning turbines. It's modular. It can be added, it can be built upon, it can be expanded. We simply contact one of those big AI companies and we set up an AI. For the world is going in that direction. Even the current platform that we're using right now has AI in it. We need to contact one of them and let them set up right in the direction that Alex was talking about.
I would I would I would stick a pin in there and say we do that with caution. Okay. But that's a different conversation for a different time.
That's that's
But
that's a different
we would
conversation.
with the fragility of our country, um, I would hesitate to endorse an idea to invite an AI Dominica to become an AI hub. But as I said, let me let you continue with the technology thought.
You see,
I'm just very reluctant when I hear that. I cringe.
you see, but
Um,
bro, the world is moving in that direction. So
yeah, but
it's
it doesn't mean that we have to invite them into Dominica. You have powerful economies like California and some of the other states that are struggling. New Jersey, with these AI companies setting up shop in their states, they would just devour Dominica. But just I'm just saying
but
that has to be done with a
whether it
grain of
be
salt.
right, but whether it be for them themselves or it be for those call centers
Yeah,
that you have
the spin-off industries, but
correct.
not to be a
But
central
but
producer
you
of
need
AI.
to have those centralized services that would not that be more difficult for those companies to set up elsewhere. And if you have the power and you have cheap reliable power, not only will it make it easier for them to set up, it's cheaper for their bottom line. So we're talking about, not that I want Dominica to change into this
No,
big
okay. No,
manufacturing country.
what I'm saying is that the amount of energy and the amount of water that those AI centers consume,
You're
they are
talking about water.
yes, they are challenging big economies and big,
Do,
huge, humongous resources
do
in
you
major states. You know, California is almost like what, the fifth or sixth economy in the world. They New Jersey, they are struggling. What we call rivers in Dominica, they call them creeks and brooks in these states, and they're struggling. But I don't want to distract from the. That's just we can have that as a sidebar conversation because you know I'm a water engineer, so I have some details in that.
okay?
But I would say I would caution the government or any potential government to invite a company to come to Dominica and establish an AI center. But we were talking technology. There's a lot of room for a lot of
Yes,
technology.
and and
Um,
and
uh,
if my memory serves me right, Dominica was leading in a lot of the technology and
yeah,
various facets of
with
technology.
cell phones and
We're talking about cell phone. We're
communications
talking
and
about
all of those things.
broadcasting.
Yeah,
We're talking about internet connectivity.
yeah.
Dominica was leading in those sectors. I mean, let us not forget, mapping was the pioneer in breaking away the monopoly
Of
that
cable and wireless.
of
Yeah,
telecommunications in the Caribbean.
yeah. I think
Dominica,
one of these days we have to erect a monument to honor Ron Abraham.
Ron Abraham
Ron
is
Abraham. But
just a great man.
definitely, you definitely would want to. Yeah, Alex says that he might drop off at any moment. Okay, so Carlos, what I want to what I want to do, there's a couple topics that the audience is asking me to handle, and we're fast approaching 9 p.m. right? So I'm going to ask you them, but give us some quick um, bites in it. Folks are worried that when they hear there is another party that's launching campaign, launching candidates. So there's TUD, there's United Workers Party, Freedom Party starting to shake and awake. And so folks are worried about how the opposition forces, and I'm saying that if a broad opposition forces, all the political and civic organizations are going to handle the delicate negotiations that has to happen so that what we don't end up doing is splitting the votes and and having the incumbent benefit from that. I'm sure in your deliberations, and of course, not all strategy that we can talk about in open. So to the extent that you can respond to that question, what are some of TUD's thoughts? What's your position on that in terms of ensuring, because we've looked in the Caribbean and we've seen it happen in some of those countries where the opposition goes in three or four different fragments, and what ends up happening is that the incumbent results in getting a full slate, everybody and nobody in the opposition win, or they win one seat. We saw in St. Vincent only Ralph Gonzalez was able to keep his seats. We see in Barbados, clean slate twice in a row. You know, St. Lucia had a huge walloping of the opposition forces again because they went in not together. So what is TUD's position in trying to make sure that there's collaboration among the opposition forces rather than competition?
Well, I will tell you that we have been reaching out to our other brothers and sisters in the, well, let's not say the opposition, in the alternative. So yes, we would love to see some more collaboration, and probably I don't want to give away too much information
Mm,
at this point, but we have been speaking on certain levels. So I'm hoping that some fruitful will come out of these discussions, and we will be able to stand up when that time is come. I will tell you though that when they talk of the by-election in the Roseau North, for example, was brought up, TUD announced that we're ready to participate. We are a political organization, and our any political organization who is interested in representing their country should participate in an election whenever an opportunity is given.
mhm,
However, the wisdom dictate that we allow the majority, I would say, the traditional alternative to the present administration to take part in the election at this point.
mhm.
So we have decided not to take part in the by-election, irrespective of the fact that we do have a candidate, a very good candidate, I would add. But let the alternative
So
party
so
take
what I'm
part.
hearing you say is that TUD is ready and willing to sit down with the
Oh,
other folks
yes,
and to collaborate,
correct,
because the ultimate aim is to have the best outcome for Dominica.
correct, and this is what Dominicans have been asking for,
Hmm.
and we have been sounding that call from since we started the organization
Okay.
TUD over more than 2 years ago.
All right, great. Now you say that you announced four candidates today. Do you want to spend some time saying who they are, and since they're not here, if you want to say a sentence or two about them, you feel free.
Of course, our dear sister Petra Carbon Georgia was with us earlier. It's from the village of Capuchin. and would be representing the Cottage constituency, and she has been charged with leading the movement.
She has been
Uh,
announced as the leader of the party, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Um, of course, Miss Cherian Austri, better known as Ching, she's from the Castlereagh constituency. Myself, for the Maho constituency, and our dear sister Chrissy for the Pebush Kalibishi constituency. These are some of the persons that we have decided to come forward with at this point. Of course, there are other persons who are ready, willing, and waiting to be presented, but at this stage, we decided to go with this slate for this point. And let us keep the conversation going. Let us see. Of course, the other parties. Let us talk. Let us sit. Let us talk. And they don't necessarily have to put somebody else elsewhere if your candidate is the better candidate. But if we sit and talk and you see, oh, but I have Mister, but the person you're talking about is a boy. Why not let Mister? You know that kind of thing. Let
Yeah,
us
yeah.
put the best slate forward
An organized
overnight,
collaboration.
correct, for it's in the interest of the country.
Hmm.
You understand? Because we let me leave that there. Let me
Yeah,
leave that.
I ask folks in the audience if you have any other questions. As we are winding down, you can put them in the chat, and I will ask the guests. So let's paint a picture, because the best way to influence people is to appeal to their imagination. Let's imagine that TUD is part of the parliament, next parliament on the ruling side, not necessarily on the opposition side. And you are in there in a position where you have influence on the decisions that are made, sufficient influence on the decisions that are made. What would Dominica look like, say, in 5 years' time, if you can paint that picture?
For one, you have to look at the current situation where we have a very bad imbalance of trade. We have a
Mm.
lot of money going out compared to what's coming
What's coming
in.
in balance of trade? Yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay.
has to be definitely flipped over on its head. We have to look at keeping the money into Dominica. We have to look at keep making the priority be Dominica and Dominicans first. When we're talking about development, we have to look at our people. Enough about that excuse about if you had to give it to a Dominican to do what would they do with it? If you create the opportunities for your Dominican people and you motivate them and you encourage them to work, we have created an environment of laissez-faire attitude in Dominica, where people have to wait on somebody to give them something. Like I mentioned so earlier, we're talking about having to know somebody to get something. No, 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 no. For example, we're building one of the biggest infrastructural development projects in the country right now. And uh, bro, are you aware that in the private sector in the north area, there are over 50 excavators from Marigot to Colliho? Over 50 excavators, and we're not talking about trucks. And we have so many foreign equipment coming in to build our international airport. Can you imagine if that activity was left in the hands of our Dominican people? What how that would spill over into the economy? Yes, I understand in terms of the supervision if you need foreign intervention in that, but you have to let the meaningful work be done by your people. Allow them to participate. Allow them to take part. So in with a community government, 5 years time, of course you would see you would see more for young people graduating, getting opportunities to find work for them to do. And I see we're making some steps in the right direction. Like, some degree programs are offered in our college, all well and good. But when they graduate, where they work for them to do? We're training nurses for them to go overseas and work for other countries. What opportunities are we creating for our nurses to remain back home? Yes, there's a degree program, but then they graduate. Then what? They go to England and they go to America because those people are happy to get properly trained individuals from those countries, irrespective of the current immigration issues that are going on right now. And if they get a Dominican who's trained in this sector, they will take them, grab them, and run. So we have to create a better Dominica for all of us to stay and live. And when I talk about staying and live, all those things are some of the sectors that I speak to.
Yeah, I get that. That is something that we raised with Alex. When Alex says that in his surveys, youth unemployment is in the 60%, more than 60%. At a time when we are coming out of the most economic activity in the country, because post Hurricane Maria, we had to rebuild the entire country pretty much.
And all
That
of the activity was handled by, not that we have a problem with our overseas brothers and sisters. No issue with them on a personal level. But when you look at it on an economic level, all that money is leaving our country.
yeah, yeah,
It's not circulating in the economy. So
it doesn't
granted,
make sense. Yeah.
they may be helping us. Yes, we welcome the help. But when you talk about tangible work for people to get paid, we need to involve our Dominican people in that. Yes, we may not have the best trucks, as so a politician said when that question was raised to him. But if you're interested in your people, you will create the environment. You know you're going to do those projects. You're not waking up in your bed today and tomorrow you're doing it. You're planning it. So you put the plans and programs in place for things to be done properly. Let them be able to compete on the level that the project requires.
Yes, I worked in construction in Dominica for a long time. That's for except for a few years that I was at Dominico Coconut Products. I worked as a project engineer, project manager in Dominica doing construction. And my experience is that when a foreign company got a project in Dominica, everybody that they applied for work permit for, they had to prove that that talent, that skill was not available locally before a work permit was handed out. So if you have an extra big or specialized excavator, you have to prove that
Yes,
why we need an operator that's not Dominican to operate.
right.
If you bring a carpenter, what about that carpenter that's so special that he has to come when there are thousands of carpenters in Dominica? And that is how previous governments have operated. Firsthand, I know that. Uh, but that seems to have gone out of the window. Uh, whether it's how the financing was negotiated or whatever reason that tied the hands of the government, or what about the government policy that doesn't allow them to prioritize employment of our youth and of our people, of our skilled people? What prevents them from having programs at the state college that
But
will churn out mechanics and refrigerant technicians and carpenters and masons and draftsmen and engineers? I mean, I taught at the state, but it wasn't a state college at the time. It was Clifton Buchanan
CDCC,
Community College. I,
yes.
I I taught there for a few years, and I know of the
Green and black or
programs.
blue and black?
It was if it was
Green and black or blue and black?
it wasn't green. I don't remember it was blue, but it was definitely CC community college, Clifton Dupini Community College. It was
Okay, so
called
there
at the
was the
time.
academic side and there was the technical side.
Oh, I taught at the technical side.
So that would have been green and black.
So I taught at the technical side. I taught the guys who wanted to be draftsmen
Engineers,
and engineers and project
yes,
managers, but I also
yes.
taught the
Electronics.
mechanics and the
So you
refrigeration
so you wa-
technician.
you probably would have served together with the R.E.D. Bruni.
Oh, definitely with the
Yes,
electronics. Yeah.
yes. That I attended his class.
These classes. Yeah.
I did his program.
Yeah. And so we had those programs, and it would have been a matter of expanding them and adapting them to whatever new technologies and new industries that were coming up, and our young people have demonstrated they have the capacity to learn, and so there's no excuse not to have a workforce that is 100% employed in Dominica with the amount of activities that's going on in Dominica right now.
So
There should, it should
I
be
made mention
100%. Mhm.
I made mention of the supervision and permit me to maybe augment this a bit, because part of the supervision is the engineers,
Yeah,
right? And what usually happens is that they bring in the foreign engineers
they bring
who,
in a project manager, a project engineer or two,
right,
and so
and
on. Yeah.
they are the ones who want to tell us how things should be done in a country that they have no idea about. You, as an engineer from Dominica, you know the climate that Dominica faces. You understand the water courses. You understand the wind blowing from which direction in Dominica from which time. You would better be able to implement a project on a certain level. Of course, you may need some guidance in certain respects, in certain technologies and so on, which would not be used in Dominica before, and you're bringing it now. But of course, our local people, trained people, can assist in the implementation of those significant projects.
The thing about it, Carlos, is that we had all of those systems in place because before you start a project, you had to submit a complete set of plans to the Department of Planning, where we had expert engineers and expert project managers, and that were trained and familiar, as you said, with the, and they would be reviewing those plans and would be requesting changes and modifications that would be in the design. So so those things are supposed to be part of the design, and with the approval of the planning department, those types of concerns would be addressed. And whether it's a foreigner who designed the project, when they submitted it to planning for approval, our local experts would have got the opportunity to weigh in and to request changes. Whether because somebody comes to Dominica and they see a little river and they assume they know what it is until they experience a Dominican storm, they have no idea what it is. But it would have gone through the local planning approval process that would take care of that as part of the design. And so one of the things I would like to hear from the alternative governments is that we would return back
Of
to
course, we have to
to
go back to
to
those days.
reestablishing all those institutions that
Yes,
that 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 used to keep guard,
yes.
and to do the environment and all of that. I I want to ask you one last question before we close. I I'm a tree hugger. I'm one of those people. If I could leave Dominica as it is, it would stay as it is. I know
You and
that's
my mother.
extreme.
You and my mother.
So, but I would like to hear to you this philosophy on Dominica as a eco island, ecology, environment, um, preservation and conservation. how would we achieve those things that TUD is saying, and not at the expense of our wonderful environment?
So now if you listen to something I said earlier, I made reference to the development, but not wanting to do so much manufacturing. Yes, yes, I like my technology. Yes, I would love to see more technological stuff happen in Dominica, but I don't want to see our rivers drying up. So I see, take note of the work of Father Coffee of trying to bring the rivers back. It's not just what happening now with in terms of talking about it. We have to do more doing. So whether it be we develop a program where we actively plant the trees along the sides of the river to protect the water from evaporation, and try to protect the rivers from drying up prematurely. That is something we can look at, and of course look at the the development that we're talking about, but doing it side by side with preservation. You don't look at cutting trees and clearing out areas. Yes, we want to plant, we want to do agriculture, but at the same time, we don't want to get rid of our trees. It is so nice to come to when you're flying into Dominica, or you sail into Dominica, and you see those mountains with all this greenery looking at you and smiling at you, compared to other places where it's just a concrete jungle. You don't want to lose the essence of that. This is what attracts a lot of the tourists to Dominica, and even those who stay at home, work at home, and
Hmm.
persons who come out from other countries. I remember the COVID times. Dominica is a blessed country, because when I think of how many people lost their minds in those concrete jungle, and here we are in Dominica with acres of land space, some of us, where we can live on our own, have your backyard garden. You have your animals in your yard, no fear of you can live free, as compared to other countries where your neighbor's living room is next to your bedroom. So, so we have to look at the development, and not do it at the expense of destroying our natural flora and fauna. So
Awesome.
the idea of TUD. We don't want to destroy the island's natural echo, as we say.
All right. So, folks, this is your last chance to ask a question, because I'm going to ask Carlos to give his closing remarks. Tell us where folks can go to learn more about Team Unity Dominica, and your websites, your different social media handles, and anything additional. If there's stuff that you intended to tell the audience that I didn't get to ask you, or you didn't get to say because I didn't ask you the questions, this is where you do that. So take it away.
Yeah, but of course, let me just thank you and the rest of the guys on the TDN team for inviting us here. Um, Of course, you can reach out to us through any one of our social media platforms. Team Unity Dominica, be it on Facebook, be it on YouTube, be it on Twitter, be it on any one of on those social media platforms. We're coming out onto TikTok as well, and feel free to reach out. We are a pretty much young organization. We we want to see a better Dominica, just like everyone else. We we believe that we can all work together to make Dominica the kind of place that we can all enjoy and live comfortably till the day we decide the Almighty Father to move on to that other place.
Right. So you have a website yet?
This is in process. This is in
Okay.
process.
So you have a Facebook page?
We Facebook. We're on Facebook. We're on
So you're on
Twitter. We're
Facebook as Team
Instagram.
Unity Dominica. You can
Yes,
search it.
Yes, with Instagram. We're on the other various
Instagram
social.
X.
Yes,
Um,
yes, we're on X as well, formerly Twitter,
okay.
and and the
YouTube. Do you have a
yes,
YouTube channel?
yes, we do have a YouTube channel.
Okay. So, folks,
It's
if you want to learn more about Team Unity Dominica, look for them on whatever is your favorite social media platform: YouTube, Instagram, X. They have a Facebook page. Just search for them. And of course, there's nothing like a one on one personal conversation. So,
Yes,
just reach out to them, send them an
feel free to
email
reach
or
out.
phone
Yes,
call. Yeah.
TD Dominica at gmail.com. Send us an email. We of course happy to interact with them. TD is always willing to engage.
To engage. That's awesome. So, I want to thank you for coming on. I know Petra tried, and Alex was with us for a while, but I think we had enough of a conversation that the audience understands what Team Unity stands for, what your vision for Better Dominica is, what you identify as the pain points that Dominicans are experiencing right now
And
that
don't
you
forget
would like to address.
the campaign slogan is the clean slate. Dominica needs a clean slate. We need to go away from what is happening on both sides of the political coin and let us move forward.
So your slogan is a
The,
clean slate.
the clean slate for Dominica. The
Clean
clean
slate for
slate.
Dominica.
No, not
Okay.
for well. The slogan is the clean slate.
The
I'm
clean slate.
telling you, we want a clean slate for Dominica.
Okay. You can interpret that in many ways. We want
Yes.
folks who are not contaminated or compromised, I should say, come with clean hands and clean hearts and good
Could also
intention.
could, could
Yeah.
also mean we giving everybody a chance to restart.
Yeah. And
Could
to
mean that
and
too.
to look for alternative ways of doing
Doing
things
things.
than 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 the regular.
Because
So
everything is not bad, but there are also better ways of doing things.
okay. So my one of my regulars, Didi Easter, is saying good night, Didi. Um, she says we need all the opposition forces to form a coalition alliance to rid Dominica of this criminal enterprise passing as a government. All these faction groups are just causing confusion and chaos. You want to respond to that real quick?
Well, if she listened to us earlier, she would have realized that we said we have no issues working with other members of the opposition, and we have been speaking with them, and hopefully this brings the result that she and as well as many other Dominicans are asking for,
Okay.
and we'll leave it there for now. I would
Awesome.
encourage you to not only say this to Team Unity when we come here, but say this to the other opposition, sorry, alternative members of the political divide.
Okay. So, Carlos, thank you so much for coming on. And I wish you and Team Unity Dominica all the best because if what you expressed to us tonight, if you're able to achieve even 50% of that, I believe all of Dominica would be a better place, an improved place for our folks to
I believe
reside.
many persons would move back home if we're able to implement a third of the ideas that we have in mind.
Definitely. So, all the best to you and to Dominica.
Yeah, good evening to your listeners, and just saying shout out to our other members who are tuned in as well, and look forward to coming to your program. Anytime you feel free to reach out. I'll be
Alex has a spot on here once a month, so he can
oh
bring anybody that he chooses to when he comes.
okay.
As he did tonight. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
All right then.
No
So good
problem.
night. All right.
Good night to you.
Good night. So folks, there you have it. A wonderful conversation with Team Unity Dominica. They had a launching today of their 2027 general election campaign in anticipation of an upcoming election, because elections are constitutionally due by December 2027. And so Team Unity is first off the mark, early and prepared, and they are engaging with the public uh, to get you familiar with what they stand for, what what they ascribe to, and what their visions and their aspirations are for Dominica, and to express their willingness to work with anybody who shares their philosophy and their approach. So we wish them all the best. And as you said in your comments, we hope that all of these forces who are looking to see Dominica turn the corner, turn a new leaf, can find a way to collaborate and cooperate, and to bring a different result for the election whenever it's called. So, what are your ideas? Put them in the continue the conversation after you know that you've heard what they've said. What are your ideas? What are your comments? And we will definitely uh, bring them back on. As I said, Alex is on with me at least once a month, one Wednesday out of the month. Alex is on with me. So, you know, as you ask your questions, as you bring your ideas, he will have the opportunity to respond. He's not there generally as a representative of TUD, but he's part of TUD, and I have no objections in him using the platform that the accommodation that we give to him to promote and to advance the ideas of the political institution that he's affiliated with. It doesn't mean that TDN is by any means an official endorser of TUD, uh, but we are available for any organization who is interested in talking about and encouraging and taking action to show the development of Dominica. And so we would welcome some of the other organizations. I welcome the other organizations from the UWP, from the Freedom Party, from Civic Vibes, from um, all of the NJAM, anybody, and individuals as well. If you're an individual and you say, I'd like to come on the program and talk about some of the ideas that I have, you're very, very welcome. Contact us and I will bring you on. We discuss ideas, and we discuss what can we do, not once we have the ideas and we have the information, how can we use that for the benefit of the country in general. And on that note, I want to encourage you, if you have not done so, to go and reconfirm your registration on the list of voters. I hear some folks say that it's a very onerous, a very cumbersome uh, process. Some people say no, it's easy. So it's up to you to find out what you need. I know you need ID and you need someone to come with you to vouch that you are resident in the constituency. So just do that and go through the process. If somebody has an objective of discouraging you, don't let them win. Persevere, fight through it, because what we would like to do is to have a different system in place that makes it easier for you. So if you give up, you are not contributing to that change. You are actually causing the system to succeed. So don't give up. Go to whatever office or person that is doing the reconfirmation in your constituency. Go and do that. If you say, well, I don't have anybody that can come with me, just contact any one of the political parties representatives, whether it's Labor or United Workers or TUD, or just contact them, because I'm sure they have people that would be more than willing to go with you to register, to reconfirm, to vote. And while we're talking about reconfirmation, don't forget that if you've never registered and you are 18 years of age and you reside in Dominica, you too should go and register. So not just the reconfirmation, but also new registrations. If you've never voted before and you've never registered, this is the time to do so. We want everybody who can vote, who is eligible to vote, to be on the voters list. Don't say that all politics are the same, all politicians are the same, it doesn't make a difference. Well, it does, and it can make a huge difference if you vote. Suppose, we've had elections where the party that win a particular constituency won by one vote, sometimes by less than 8 votes. That one vote could have been your vote. So your vote is so critical. Give yourself the opportunity to be able to vote whenever the election is called. Go and reconfirm. Make sure that you reconfirm. Don't allow the people at the process to keep that right away from you. Go and reconfirm. That with that said, I wish you a wonderful remainder of the week. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you again next week, Wednesday, for another episode of This Week in Interview. Good night.